Most people think respect disappears because of failure, but that's not true. You can fail and still be respected. You can struggle and still be admired. But there's one behavior that quietly destroys how people see you almost instantly. And most people do it every single day without noticing. Seeking approval, constantly explaining yourself, constantly trying to be liked, constantly needing reassurance from other people. At first, it seems harmless, but psychologically, it changes how people perceive your value. Because human beings are wired to respect what appears emotionally stable. And nothing looks less stable than someone whose mood depends on everybody else's opinion. Think about it. The person who desperately wants attention usually loses it. The person who tries too hard to fit in often becomes invisible. And the person who constantly says yes slowly teaches others something dangerous. My time has no value. This is called the scarcity principle in psychology. The human brain naturally values things that feel limited. Limited opportunities, limited products, limited access. And strangely enough, this applies to people too. When someone is always available, always agreeing, always chasing approval, the brain unconsciously stops viewing them as important. Not because they're weak, but because their behavior communicates desperation. And desperation lowers perceived value almost immediately. Now here's where it becomes dangerous. Approval gives your brain dopamine. Every compliment, every notification, every good job, every tiny sign of acceptance, your brain receives a reward signal. And over time, people become addicted to that feeling. This is why some people can't stop checking their phones, why they panic when someone ignores their message, why silence feels uncomfortable. Their self-worth slowly becomes dependent on external reactions. Psychologists call this external validation dependency. Your emotional state becomes controlled by other people. And once that happens, authenticity disappears. You stop saying what you really think. You avoid conflict, you become overly agreeable. You shape your personality around avoiding rejection. And eventually, you don't even know who you truly are anymore. That's the terrifying part. Some people spend so much time trying to be accepted that they slowly abandon themselves completely. And the brain notices this contradiction. This creates cognitive dissonance. Deep down, you know you're pretending. You know you're sacrificing honesty for approval. And that internal conflict creates anxiety, stress, and emotional exhaustion. Now here's the paradox. The moment people stop desperately seeking approval, they often become more respected. Why? Because boundaries create psychological strength. When someone can calmly say, "No, I disagree, I need time, that doesn't work for me," people unconsciously see them differently. Not rude, not arrogant, stable. And stability is attractive. This is one reason Stoic philosophy has survived for thousands of years. Stoicism teaches emotional control, not emotional suppression. There's a difference. Suppressing emotion means hiding how you feel, but emotional control means your feelings do not control your behavior. And humans naturally respect people who remain calm under pressure. Because calmness signals confidence. Think about the people who constantly chase validation. Their emotions rise and fall based on approval. One compliment makes them feel powerful. One rejection destroys their confidence. That emotional instability lowers trust. Because if your identity changes depending on who you're around, people stop knowing the real you. And without authenticity, respect disappears. So how do you fix this? Start small. Don't try to become fearless overnight. Instead, practice what psychologists call response interruption. Pause before reacting, pause before explaining yourself unnecessarily, pause before instantly saying yes, pause before seeking reassurance, that tiny pause retrains the brain. Because every time you resist approval seeking behavior, you strengthen internal validation instead. This is neuroplasticity. Your brain slowly rewires itself based on repeated actions. And over time, something incredible happens. You stop needing constant approval to feel okay. You stop chasing attention. You stop performing for acceptance. And ironically, that's when people begin respecting you more. Because confidence is not loud. Confidence is not domination. Real confidence is emotional independence, the ability to stay grounded even when approval disappears. At the end of the day, people can feel desperation. They can feel insecurity. And they can also feel self-respect. The goal is not to become cold or emotionless. The goal is to stop abandoning yourself just to be temporarily accepted. Because the moment you stop chasing validation, your presence becomes stronger naturally. And that changes everything.